One part of the U.S. government where when they fight with Congress, it's because Congress wants to force them to take more money than they actually want, to run more programs than they want to run, to pay their workers more than they want to pay them, to buy stuff, to buy big expensive stuff that this part of our government not only hasn't asked for, but they actively do not want. There's only one part of our government that wants to stay the same size or get smaller, but Congress consistently makes them keep getting bigger and bigger and makes them take more money than they want. That part of government, of course, is the United States military. The Pentagon has asked Congress to pay for a 1% pay raise for service members. Congress is insisting on a 1.8% pay raise. The military wants to close Guantanamo and to decommission one of its aircraft carriers. Congress is insisting that they keep them going. There are specific ships and aircraft that the military says it no longer wants to use. They say it's detracting from military readiness to have to keep training service members and maintenance crews on using these things since it really no longer wants to use them. Congress don't care. Must be nice, right? To be not only fully funded all the time, but to have an embarrassment of riches that you don't even know what to do with. That is true of the military and only of the military. You would think that veterans, too, would have the same problem that the military does, right? That members of Congress would be showering veterans issues with funding, given the way members of Congress are showboating right now about how much they care about veterans and how outraged they are about veterans having long waits to get health care. Veterans are waiting too long for health care. But when given the chance to vote for an expansion in the care that veterans are waiting too long for, Congress has not treated veterans the way they treat the Defense Department. No, veterans are treated more like food stamps or education or any other kind of funding that Republicans won't pass in the House and that they will filibuster in the Senate because they don't want to pay for it. Look, Senate Republicans block veterans' health bill on budget worry. This bill called for 27 new medical facilities to help a health care system that is strained by veterans of the Iraq and Afghanistan wars. Republicans raised budget concerns, forcing another key procedural vote that ended up killing the bill.
There are problems with this bill. It is an extensive piece of legislation. It has many good elements in it. It also has a cost issue at a time when our nation owes close to $18 trillion. And that was the reason why so many on my side of the aisle objected to it. And that's why I would object to the motion made here today by the senator from Vermont.
I think the decision we've got here as we debate this legislation is whether we're going to commit to a promise that's bigger than what our kids can fulfill, that costs more than our kids can afford.
I certainly understand where Senator Burr is coming from, that we want to, one, pay for whatever we do because we're $17 trillion in debt.
Despite being terribly in debt, we can afford anything when it comes to creating veterans, sending them to war and funding the military. But when soldiers come home hurt from those wars, oh, that's where it's too expensive. Costs too much to fund VA health care. We can't possibly spend the money to alleviate the strain on the overburdened system with all those vets needing taken care of, so we won't fund it. Have you looked at the debt? Republicans filibustered Bernie Sanders' bill in February that would have expanded veterans' access to health care. Precisely 2 Republican senators voted in February for funding veterans' health care. 2. Dean Heller from Nevada and Jerry Moran from Kansas. All the rest, all these 41 other Republicans, all voted no on veterans' health care funding in February, even as they all scream bloody murder now about how there isn't enough health care for vets. But as the VA wait time scandal continues to unfold, and as Republicans increasingly try to turn it to partisan purposes now, to try to use it as an election issue, these 41 Republican senators who all voted against veterans' health care just a few weeks ago, they are about to get a chance to get their money and their mouths more closely aligned than they are right now. Because the senator who introduced that veterans bill that the Republicans filibustered in February, Senator Sanders, he now says he's going to bring that veterans' health bill back up again next week. So all 41 Republican senators who voted to filibuster veterans' health care before, oh, it's too expensive, they're about to now have another chance to decide if the treatment of veterans is something they actually want to fix, or if instead it's something that they don't want to fix because they'd rather complain and showboat about it and just hope that their own votes on the subject don't damn them with the blame. That bill drops in the Senate next week, and if we believe our own passionate rhetoric that doing right by veterans is a moral imperative and a clarion responsibility, then that vote is going to be the kind of vote that people will not only remember, it'll be the kind of vote that follows senators around through the rest of their careers, and if there's any justice in the world, through the rest of their lives. Watch this space.